Welcome to another episode of Behind the Scenes. Today's guest, I had the pleasure of meeting at the Grabby Awards this year, and I've actually been really looking forward to sitting down with him since we got back from the event. He is funny, he's witty, he's cute, he's like my spirit animal. I mean, we have so much in common, it's just kind of unreal. So you can understand why my excitement level was really high on getting the opportunity to sit down with him. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to my favorite ginger, one of them, Mr. Otto Samson. Welcome to the show.
Hello, my name.
Hey,
How are you?
good.
Good.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm so glad you agreed to sit down with me and talk with me about you and what's going on in your world and all the great things that are
Yes, of course.
with part of you. So
Yes.
I'm gonna jump right in.
Okay.
All the way back, way,
Okay.
like.
Okay.
So, what do you like growing up?
So I'm a corn-fed Midwest boy. I grew up in southeastern Indiana on a farm, no less. Um, Grew up doing housework, like on the farm, cutting wood every weekend. I was a competitive swimmer for 20 years. I started when I was the ripe age of 4, and I swam year round. And in order for me to not do house chores or anything like that, my parents were like, either you're gonna swim or you're gonna work on the farm. And I was like, I'd rather swim. So
Good choice.
I yeah, I chose athletics over farm work. But that didn't mean I still didn't have my chores and all that stuff. Went to Catholic school, K through college.
Oh wow, you were really hit with the whole Midwest. Oh
Yes.
wow.
I'm a Midwest boy through and through, but I said, well, now look at me. I'm a big old homosexual man that does porn.
You know, that's okay. That's all
Yeah.
right. That's a great, you know, um, how was that though for you dealing with, there's a lot of preconceived notions in the Midwest. There's a lot of
Yes.
conservatives in the
Very much
Midwest.
so.
Not only that, but then you add in the Catholic part of it.
Mm.
How was that for you as a young man
Um,
discovering who he was and your sexuality and everything?
well, growing up, I always knew I was different. I didn't have a word necessarily to associate it with because it just wasn't something I was brought up around. I don't think there was nobody in my re- vicinity of life that I could associate the word gay with or homosexuality with until maybe I was 17, and then I discovered Queer as Folk on TV randomly, like late at night when I was watching like Stars or HBO or whatever show, whatever channel it was on, and then I was like, maybe this is what I'm feeling, that how my difference. And then I went to college, and then I started feeling it a little bit more that this is my path. I didn't truly come out until very late in life. Actually, I was 23 when I full on came out and said, I'm gay, I love men, this is who I am. And that was only to my friends. I didn't come out to my family until about 2 years later.
How
So
did that
it's
how did that
um,
go?
it was hard at first. I wasn't sure how they would take it. They don't fully. They love me for who I am. They love me for me. That will always be the same. But there are times where I try to censor what I put on Facebook just because I don't want them to see certain things, or I worry they're going to see certain things that I know they're not going to be approval of, that have the approval of. But I'm also a 29-year-old man. I shouldn't be stitching. I shouldn't have to worry about the approval of my parents right now about what I do in adult
They're
life.
always going to be your parents.
I
So
know.
it's a knee jerk reaction to
Yes.
them. I get that.
Hmm.
I'm totally 100% behind anybody in their sexuality, how they identify everything. But at the same time, it's also, it's not a requirement to shove it down somebody else's throat
Absolutely.
either. You can be accepting and open and agreeable to people living the life they want to. That doesn't necessarily mean that it also gives you the right to force your agenda down
Absolutely.
down their throat.
Absolutely.
So I applaud people who can say, you know what, I understand you are accepting of me and that you don't necessarily accept
Right.
my lifestyle, and that's okay. It's the
Right.
same thing as getting into an argument with somebody about politics or anything else. You're
Of
agree to
course.
disagree.
Hmm.
We all have our own life path. Just don't try to tell me how to live my life, because
Absolutely.
that's the biggie. So
That's the
looking
problem with everything.
it, right? If we could all just let go and let be, we'd
Live
probably
our
be in a
own life.
whole lot better shape. Whole lot.
Exactly.
So, if looking back now, at the age that you are, what would you say to your younger self? What would you say to them to make that process easier, or is there something you would do different?
I probably would tell myself not to be bothered by what you are thinking other people are saying behind your back. Um, because in high school, I wasn't really the popular kid. I had a lot of friends in all the different cliques, but I wasn't like, I never really fit into any of them. And so I always had that very much that mindset that maybe somebody was saying something behind my back. So I had a very lonely like high school experience, and I think I would tell myself to don't sweat what you think people are saying, because they're more than likely not. And I would probably have had much more of a relaxed high school career, and then going into college, not being as like wild and crazy, because when I got to college, I kind of went on that party kick. And I mean, moving to Madison, Wisconsin, one of the biggest party schools and party cities in United States. It's kind of hard not to go into the party realm, but but I wouldn't have gone as hard or tried to push for social acceptance as hard as I did. So
So tell me what was it about your growing up that made you think that you were so different? I mean, was it who you were attracted to? Was it things that you noticed? What was it? I mean, I'm assuming you had some crushes growing up.
I did, yeah, have crushes, but I think it was more the thing that I felt that I was different was I wasn't the, although I worked on a farm, I was a outdoors kind of guy. I was a gymnast. I was a swimmer. I played soccer, even though that was probably the manliest in my growing up, the manliest of sports. But I also like I liked real estate. Like my mom is a real estate agent, so I used to like going to the houses and like seeing all the designs of houses and things like that. The things that in growing up a typical man should not be doing. Like growing up, it was football, basketball, baseball. Those are the three sports that boys were supposed to play. Or even wrestling, throwing wrestling in there. That was my dad. My quintessential dad was all American athlete, played football,
Mm-hmm.
basketball, was a wrestler, baseball. He played baseball in college. And so growing up, that's kind of how I was trying to be groomed into, but I was a swimmer through
You
and
got
through.
stuffed in that macho box.
Yes.
Got it.
The what's the hyper masculine mentality of what men should be.
I can see why you would have struggled with that,
Yeah.
especially if none of that resonated with you. Yeah, I don't get that. So we're gonna go on to how, where, what got you all pumped into going into porn. You mentioned you went to college, so
Hmm.
you obviously got a degree
I do
in
have a degree.
in
My degree is in studies and education,
okay,
and I have a minor in ESL, a certification in ESL, which is English as a second language.
okay,
After I graduated, I taught for a year and a half because I was a privately contracted ESL teacher, so schools would hire me personally instead of going through their they went through the district, but I was independent, and it was cheaper for them to contract me than hire a full-time teacher. So I had three different schools that I would have to go to throughout the day, teaching the class, and it was just really hard and taxing. So I kind of fell out of love with teaching. I don't like the bureaucracy of education either. The fact that the administration is glorified, whereas the teachers are kind of pushed off to the wayside, and they're just like the worker bees, and the administration's the queen bee type of thing. Whereas the teachers are kind of doing all the work for little gratification.
They have one of the toughest jobs in the whole
They
world.
do. They do. My aunt is a teacher, and my grandmother was a teacher, and I think that's where I got the wanting to become a teacher, because those two are two of my biggest role models in my life. And then I've been in the service industry my entire life, like hospitality, food and food service, all that. I started when I was 14 and love working in restaurants. I currently work for a hotel right now as a food and beverage supervisor. But then to get it segueing that into porn, I met my boyfriend Silver Steel about a year and a half ago, and we were in Dallas for Dallas Pride, and one of our mutual friends, who is Dallas Steel, invited us separately to be on his Pride float in last September, or not last September, 2 Septembers ago. And I met Silver, and we hit it off, and then we filmed a orgy with Dallas, his boyfriend, a group of other guys that were on the float, and we filmed it. And I wasn't really sure about the filming at first, and then I was like, you know what? Screw it. It's going to go on a OnlyFans page or a Just for Fans page. Just give me a completely different name, and as long as my family or someone doesn't see it, I'm fine. And then started a Twitter, and then my Twitter started kind of blowing up, and that's kind of where I was like, you know what? I could probably do this porn thing. It's fun for me. A lot of porn stars use it as a career. They do the escorting, they do the whole like going to events, and are constantly traveling and booked. But I have a full-time career that pays my bills and everything like that. I like porn for the pure joy of it. I like having sex. I like meeting guys. I like having sex with hot guys, and if I can get paid for it, so be it. Until it's not fun, that's when I'll stop.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Everybody comes into it with a different reason.
Right.
You know, there's no right or wrong reason to any of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it is. It's how much time and care or whatever you want to invest in it. Whether you want it to make it a full time everything or just be an addition to what's going on in your world. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Right.
So you just explained how you two met, which is totally great. And it was a pleasure actually meeting you both at the
Aw.
Grabbies. It was so much
Yes,
fun.
that was a lot of fun.
And the whole weekend was a blast. I'm so very glad that I went.
I got home and I was like, I need a vacation from my vacation.
I was pretty low key for the whole week afterward. Definitely needed a disconnect. There was a
Yeah,
lot of people. There was a
there
lot
were.
of people at all the events. So, and I love people, but
Yeah,
even I was hitting my wall in some of the rooms. It was like being stuffed into a caviar can. So,
right.
so anyway, so you are now filming independently, but you've actually been filming with some of the studios too?
Yes, I have just a couple of my scenes have just been recently released. My first scene ever was with Rafa Club,
Okay.
which it kind of landed in my lap, to be honest with you. Silver was originally booked for that, and during his shoot, we were in Fort Lauderdale for Pig Week, and I had booked an escorting client for the time that he was going to be filming, because I didn't know anybody. The people that I knew in Fort Lauderdale were going to be on the shoot, so like I didn't want to just be roaming around Fort Lauderdale by myself. So I was like, okay, I'll book a client for it. the client bailed, kind of completely ghosted, and so I went to the shoot, and that happens way more often than you think. Clients just, they book you, and then they were like, oh, this is not for me, and instead of saying it, they just completely ghost, disconnect. It happens more often than not. But so I went to the shoot just to be moral support for him and just hang out because I like being on shoot, and he likes it when I'm there just for comfort level. Mm-hmm. And then the director kind of came over to me and was like, so are you top or bottom for this? And I was like, I'm not in the shoot. I'm just here for moral support. And he's like, oh, okay. So then he goes and talks to another one of the producers, and then they come back and it's like, well, do you want to be in the shoot? And I was like, sure. And this was like 30 minutes before they were going to start filming. And I was like, time to get my douche game on point, time to get my everything ready. And I was like, let's go.
Nothing like spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment. I was not prepared whatsoever. So I was like, okay, let me go quickly clean and I will be ready.
Mm-hmm. I'll get fishy fresh.
Fishy fresh.
Fishy fresh.
And then that same week we filmed Monster Cub, which was a Christmas-themed little kitschy scene.
Sounds very cute.
Very cute. Me and Silver were in it as well, along with Hunter Scott and a few other new starting out porn models. Mm-hmm. I was Jingles the elf. Was the Jack Frost for it. So that was a cute little shoot. And then the most recent ones I've been working with Harry and Raw, Bear Films, and Bareback That Hole.
Okay. So you've branched out a lot. That's awesome.
I have a very wide range of studios that I like to work. I love to work with all of them, to be honest with you, but the ones that I have worked, the 5 that I've worked with, I have nothing but good things to say about them. They're great.
Time will come. You'll get there. Get there.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to watching it all happen. I love when I meet somebody really early on in their career that I can watch, them completely blossom. It's amazing. Yeah. I'm that one up here with the cheer. Yay!
Yeah. you're the girl with the pom-poms cheering at the stand.
And
yes.
the pony.
And your high pony. Gotta love a good high pony.
Oh, and now that I can actually have one, I have to take advantage of it.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. So how was your first scene with a professional? Was it what you expected to be? I mean, was it what you imagined?
Yes and no. What I imagined was it was going to be a little bit more stop and go, where you're going to have to fuck and then stop, let me re-angle. This one was more in the sense where it's like, okay, we're rolling, just go. They told us who they wanted us to start out with, and then it was, okay, just go, let's be all organic about it. Mm-hmm. The porn that I tend to watch has a little bit more of a B-roll backstory to it sometimes. But now, after doing Raw Fuck Club, I like the whole, let's just get down to business, because, most gay men are gonna, when they watch the backstory once, they're just gonna skip right over that and go straight to the fucking. So I was like, you know what? I like the ones where it's just let's get just right down to it.
It is your women fans that actually watch the ones with the backstories.
With the backstories.
Yes. I will honestly admit I'm much more inclined to go with ones that have a storyline. Yeah.
Right.
And it's not that I have, but then there are times where you just want to watch. Yeah.
Well,
so it's a mix.
That's why studios do it, because they know the market that are actually going to be watching it. And oddly enough, the gay porn market has a very strong female following.
Yes.
And it's the same with straight porn. Straight porn has a very strong gay following. And it's weird to think about, but I think for gay men, it's when they watch straight porn, it's not the idea of having sex with a woman, it's the idea of, I think it's more of the straight guy that is more of a turn on than it is two gay guys having sex, because we do that already. gay men
Hmm.
have gay sex already, so why watch a porn where you're gonna watch? I mean, maybe for the fantasy of it, but we have the gay sex already, so let's watch something that is not
In our wheelhouse.
in our repertoire of things that we do.
It's well, yes, it's more than just it's not that it's prohibitive or anything like that or something that it's not or unallowed to watch.
Hmm.
Um it's just something different.
Yeah.
Um where, if you ask any female fan that watches you, it's
Hmm.
because you guys are more authentic to us.
Hmm.
It's not as subjective. We don't
Right.
find it as subjective because we look at you as equals.
Right.
Whereas with straight porn, women don't look at it that way. We
Right.
see the women in the scene as being more, you know, subjected and not treated well. And that
Right.
may not be the case, but that's just kind of how it comes across.
That's how it's
So
perceived.
yeah, so that's a lot of it. Plus, it's just plain freaking hot as hell. I mean, come on, I'm not
Right.
gonna deny it.
Two hot
Hello.
two hot men together. Yeah.
So far, what would you say was your best scene so far? What was the one that stands out for you so far that you were just like, wow, that turned out really amazingly well?
Um, I to be honest with you, Raw Fuck Club was probably I don't want to say my favorite. It was an amazing experience just because it was my first one.
Okay.
Um, I I don't have a favorite just because I had such an amazing experience on all four of them. The Bareback, that whole Bear Films, and Harry and Raw were in one weekend. I shot those in 3 days in one weekend for each studio or each site. So that one was kind of a whirlwind, but it was a fairly easy shoot. It was about 2 hours of filming a day, and then I was done for the day. So those were those were by far the easier ones of because it just was 2 hours. Let's get it done. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Um, the Monster Cub was just fun because Hunter Scott is just a close friend of mine, and so was Sterling, and I got to do it with Silver. So it was fun. We had fun with it. It was kitschy. We had some cheesy punny honey
Aw.
lines in it, like let me come up your tree type of thing, or come up your
Aw.
chimney type of thing. It was just fun. It was that those things are. I love those cheesy type of lines,
That's awesome.
even though saying them sometimes are it's churn
Like you
like
have a
gut wrenching.
cavity.
Yeah. Um, but I think my most memorable one is Rafa Club.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what is your favorite part of your career? What is the thing about your career that you're enjoying the most?
I'm enjoying the people that I meet, especially like going to places like IML where me and Silver were just at during the Grabbies as well.
Hmm.
Walking into an IML and then just someone coming up to you and being like, I love your Twitter or I love your stuff that you put out on Just for Fans. Huge fan following. Not that they're making like a big deal out of it. It's more of the like tapping on the shoulder, and it's more of a whisper because they don't want like maybe somebody else to hear it or something like that. I like those like small, intimate little encounters with fans that make it a little bit more worthwhile that somebody's actually watching and my Twitter account is not all bots. It's actual people following my Twitter.
Hmm. That's awesome.
So,
So, obviously, you
mhm,
know that you have a lot of followers, and somewhere in all of that are probably younger people
mhm,
who may be questioning their sexuality, where they're going. We all know they're there. They
right.
shouldn't be, but
They're there.
they're there, and
I was one of
you're
them.
impactful. But you are impactful on
Right.
them. How do you deal with that? I mean, what is it? What would you hope they get out of following you and learning about you? And what are you hoping to project with that?
Um, because I was one of those kids. I was one of those kids that was looking to discover who I was through the internet, through I wouldn't say necessarily say porn, but I would say through the internet and things like just watching YouTube. I watched YouTube. I had I had a LimeWire account, even though that was taboo. Like everybody did LimeWire. I downloaded when I was questioning, downloaded the naked pictures of like Brad Pitt that got leaked and all that kind of stuff. But what I want, like the kids that are watching, even though like I wish they would be 18 or older, but I hope they get out that not to take life too seriously. You need to be able to do what you want to do to have fun. That's what I do in my porn career, but also have your separate life from that. Be your authentic self with your friends and things like that, but then have your career on top of it. One of my biggest role models in porn is Pup Amp, who has his YouTube series, What's the Safe Word? And it's just a very big sex positive, sex education YouTube, and he's a big inspiration just because he teaches what sex is and how to go about it on a safe way and even a kinky way. And I think he is, if I could deter or role model myself or on my Twitter after anybody, I would love to try to do it off of him. He's a very big inspiration. And I met him at IML, and he's by far one of the sweetest guys I've ever met.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, how did you come up with your porn name?
So, I've gained a few pounds since then, but back before, when I met Silver, I had more of the otter body type. And so I kind of wanted to do a play off of being an otter. And so Otto, otter, and then Samson sounded a little Irish to me just because I'm a ginger Irish boy. So Otto Samson.
I like it. It makes
Plain and simple.
I've seen some pretty well-rounded otters, so it still fits.
Yeah.
And anything Irish, I'm all for, honey.
Right.
Because this Irish girl over here is just all on it. So that's totally okay. So I'm going to ask you this, and you can be totally brutally honest with me. We talked about this a little bit earlier when you were talking about your coming out and everything. Does your friends and family know that you're doing porn?
No. Friends, yes. Family, no.
Okay.
And even my job knows. My job knows that I do porn. I was completely candid with my bosses. I said, just so you know that I do this on the side, and there will be sometimes weekends where I'm contracted that I have to fly out. It's not that I don't want to work, but it's one of the things they're paying me to come and be a personality, or I have to go do a shoot. And they love my job loves it. They love my stories. Like I was Snapchatting them the entire time at the Grabbies and IML, and they were living for it. I mean, I work with a whole bunch of women, so they love it. Yeah, they love it. We have a group text we're called the Revolve Babes, which is our restaurant, and then I created the group chat, and we just geeky all the time on it. But my family definitely does not. I know it would be definitely a deal breaker for the family if they ever found out. And if they do find out, I'm hoping comes to the point where I'm ending my career already or retiring from my career in the porn world. So then it's one of those things where I'm just like, you know what? It is what it is. It happened. So it was a phase it wasn't a phase. It was a part of my life, and it is what it is. I'm sorry, but sorry, not sorry, to be honest with you, because I don't have to apologize. I'm an adult.
I get that. Totally understand. So I have to ask you then, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about the porn industry?
I know growing up, especially in like southern conservative Indiana, porn is looked upon as smut, which yes, in in essence, it can be a little bit smutty, but who doesn't love a little bit of smut here and there? But it's turned off as a negative connotation. Then they don't believe sex work is work. They think sex work is a cop out for not getting a real job. You're you're objectifying yourself to a world that is below the way you're raised. They don't think I think that's a misconception. You're kind of belittling yourself to something that if you just tried a little harder, you could have a career that is so much more than having sex for money on camera.
You mean like
And
being a politician and seeing a hooker on the side?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like it's such a double standard in society. If you have money, you can hire a hooker, and it can be a scandal, but it just is pushed to the wayside. But the hooker is the one that's the bad person, not the politician.
Oh, we saw all that
Yeah.
with our yeah
He
fearless.
who, he who
He
must
who
not be
shall
named.
not be named. Yes. Yes.
45, I like to call him.
Yeah. 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 Uh-huh. So, what was the weirdest question that you've been asked since you've been in the industry?
Ooh, weirdest question. I don't find many things weird anymore. That after being in porn, I don't find many things weird. So
That's why
that's
this
like
question is so cool because it's
I
like,
don't find
okay, come on, there
I
must
don't
be
find
something. There has
um,
to be a threshold.
oh, I have had an possible escorting client ask me to uh, take a dump on his face. That's probably the weirdest question, and I had to give a hard pass.
Okay. Well, that segues into the what's the strangest thing you've been asked sexually? And that's not a sexual thing, but is there something that you have been asked?
To do sexually, or
Yes.
um, even though it's not really strange to a lot of people, but to be pissed, like to have me pee on somebody is probably strange for me, just because I'm not a big piss play person. I will do it if somebody requests it, but it's not something I seek to do. Like
Gotcha.
I don't, it's just not for me. So, I mean, Silver is going to a piss party play in July, and him and Dolph Dietrich are it's Dolph Dietrich's retirement weekend, and they're just personalities for this piss party. And Silver is more than happy to do it all, but that kind of party would just not be for me because I just not
Your
something.
thing.
Yeah, it's just not my thing.
That's okay.
It's not my cup of tea.
It's not for everybody. It's definitely not
Right.
something that everybody has to participate.
Right. But it's like if I'm having sex with a guy and then it's getting hot and heavy, and then he's like, "Can I ask you something funny or something weird? Will you piss on me?" I'd be like, "Sure, why not?" I just don't want to be pissed on. Let's just say that.
So, what do you do? What do you like to do when you're on your AF time? What relaxes you? What do you do to decompress?
When I have the time, I like to paint. I
Ooh,
haven't painted in a long time, just because I haven't found the time to paint. And I'm a perfectionist, so when it comes to my painting, it has to be perfect in my eyes, even though all art is not perfect.
what's your
Uh,
medium?
I like oil and acrylic.
Nice.
Yeah,
There's a nice blank wall right behind
I
you.
know. There's a beautiful blank wall right behind me.
As
I
soon as
really
you
want.
said paint, I'm like, look at all that white space.
There's a lot of white space. I really want to do something to the wall at some point before my lease here is up. But
Mural would be nice.
yeah, a nice, cute little mural. Or I think I have a nice painting or a picture of the Madison skyline, and I want to maybe do like a combo of the one. I say one of the Houston skylines because now I currently live in Houston, Texas, but like a split of the Madison to Houston skyline. I think that would be cool. Um,
What
but
else?
other than painting, I like to go to the gym. I mean, that's part of my daily regimen is going to the gym. Um, I like to read. I'm a big movie person. I love going to the movies. I like to say I'm a master dater. I like to date myself every once in a while, so I like to go to like treat myself to a dinner and then go to the movies by myself. Because if I go to the movies with friends, it ends up they'll talk during the movie, and if it's a movie that I really want to see, I prefer to go by myself. Then I can just fully engage in the movie. Like the last one I went to was Aladdin, and because
How was
Aladdin,
that? I haven't seen it yet.
it's really really good. It's one of those movies where I grew up loving Aladdin as a child, and you have to completely sever anything that you know about the original Aladdin to this one because
It's hard to do.
it's very hard to do, and I had caught myself being like, nah, that's not supposed to happen. That's not how that was supposed to happen. But then I was like, it's 2019. It's a completely different movie.
I, I couldn't even see the Star is Born one. It's because I'm a Streisand fan. So
Oh,
just, but I
I,
love Gaga. Don't get me wrong. I just can't put myself through that again.
I'm a terrible gay. I've not seen it.
See, we both have good
I'm
excuse.
even over the songs. I'm over the songs.
It happens.
I'm over the drag queens.
It's more about the radio stations overplaying things than it is
Yes,
anything wrong with the songs at
absolutely.
all.
The
Completely.
songs are great. The songs are great. I'm just
They're
they're over,
they're
they're over,
overplayed.
hmm
Yeah, yeah,
overdone.
totally. So so what kind of music do you like to listen to?
I love everything. There's
Everything.
literally I have a taste for music, just everything in music. I went to a fine arts high school, a fine arts Catholic high school, and we had majors. I was an art major, and my sister was a music major. So growing up in high school, we had a lot of music playing in school, and so I grew to find love in everything when it comes to music. Um, the music that I typically like lean towards would probably be like country pop ish, like that mix.
I'll forgive the country part.
Um,
It's not for everybody.
it isn't for everybody. That's why I throw in like pop country type of thing, where it's like Lady Antebellum and those kind of bands.
Okay.
Not I do like my Tim McGraw, don't get me wrong. I do like my Tim McGraw, but I like that heavy medium in between, that happy medium in between pop and country.
Okay.
Now Taylor Swift, when she was true to country. I liked her when she was true to country. I like her now as a pop artist, but when she was a true country artist, I liked her even more then.
Um, I think a lot of people would say that.
Hmm
Um, what about books? You mentioned that you love to read. What is your favorite genre? What do you like to read?
Fantasy. Harry Potter is by far my favorite book series of all time. I am a Hufflepuff, true and true.
Okay.
Every day I'm huffling. Um, I right now I'm reading a book called A Discovery of Witches. Um, it's a trilogy series. It's about a young girl or a girl in maybe her 20s, and she's a witch, and she's kind of pushing aside her witchcraft and because she's born a witch, and then she falls in love with a vampire and all
They've
this
made a
kind of
mini series about that. You know
there.
that.
Yes,
Okay.
it's on the BBC. It's in the BBC right now, or in Britain right now, but now they're bringing it to the United States.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
really excited to actually watch the miniseries because it's going to be a 3-season miniseries. They're going to do each book as a
Oh,
season.
I'm looking forward to it actually. I suppose I should read the books first.
Oh, it's
I
so good.
actually saw this series, the little teaser for it. And I'm like, oh God, that really looks good. And then I heard, obviously I didn't know if it was like a screenplay that was
Mhm.
created for it or if
Right,
there was actually a book series. So I
it's
did
a book
figure,
series.
yeah. So I guess I should probably read those.
They're so
That's what I've been told.
good.
So, quick question. This is kind
Uh-huh.
of an off the cuff one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Would you rather have an Olympic gold medal, an Academy Award, or the Nobel Peace Prize?
Ooh, I would probably say an Olympic medal because that was my dream to go to the Olympics when I was very, very, very little when I was a swimmer. Um, I trained very hard and I wanted to go to the Olympics so bad. And I think that's why my, I did gymnastics as well because it was one of those sports that I felt that I could be good in and possibly go to the Olympics. I've been to the Olympics not as a competitor, but as a spectator.
Yeah.
But I think it would be the Olympic medal, just because I'm such an athlete at heart. I'm intelligent in a sense where a Nobel Peace Prize would or a Nobel Prize would be fun, but I don't think I would. I don't have anything that mentally stimulating that I think I could earn a Nobel Prize, or I don't think it would
Never
in my
sell yourself short, sweetheart.
right. But I mean, I don't think in my mindset right now, I would appreciate a Nobel Prize as much. An Academy Award, maybe. I'm gonna have to say Olympic gold medal.
That's all right. That works.
Yeah.
I've been getting a variety of answers to that, so
I like that question.
I
That's a cool question.
thanks. Pop that one up all by myself.
That head's not just a hat rack.
That's right. Well, no hats fit on this hair anyway. It's hard. They just bounce right off. If you had the ability to grant 3 wishes to the world,
hmm
what would they be?
um, Acceptance for all, whether that be color of your skin, what's between your legs, the the person that you choose to love, and the person that you choose to be. Just the just the overall acceptance for everybody, just an innate nature. I would probably also grant. Ooh, that's a good question. I could go political about it, and I don't really want to, just because it might be a little controversial. But um, the ability to get help easier than it is, whether it be medical, whether it be psychological, whether it be coming into the country and needing help becoming a citizen. I just want it to be easier for the people that don't have the means to get it themselves. Um, Also, just happiness, pure happiness, not no no shame. I feel like Trixie Mattel said this really well. Shame is a garbage emotion. Um, or what was it? It was a revolving emotion. I forget what she exactly called it, but it was one of those things where the if it hadn't been done before, there shouldn't be shame. You would not have shame or something like that. And I feel like shame is something that no one should ever feel because everyone should be happy with who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just pure happiness is another one.
So good ones. Those are great ones.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. So what makes you smile?
um, Knowing that I'm doing good in life, not doing well, I'm doing good. I'm making an impact on other people's lives, whether it be small, whether it be large. I love hearing, like, there was a day where I just needed a confidence boost here in Texas, and I was feeling a little homesick and feeling down, and I put it out on Facebook. I know it was fishing, but I was like, I need a confidence boost. How have I impacted your life? And I just got comment after comment on how my 13 years living in Madison, I impacted such a positive way on people. And I was I say just a bartender, but I was a bartender I've been a bartender since I was 18, and I was a pretty well-known bartender and bar manager in Madison. And the fact that I can use my bartending skills and my psychology skills that I learned in high school and college, um, to make a good impact on people. Doing good is something that makes me smile.
Nothing wrong with looking for positive reinforcement. I
Right.
mean, knowing you're a good person, because obviously you are a good person,
Thank you.
whether or not you have psychology background or whatever, there's still an innate part of you that is a good person and feels and
Right.
empathizes with others. Carrying it back, you
Hmm.
can't live in a vacuum. You have to
No.
have that feedback to remind yourself you're worthy. Not that you don't question your own self-worth, that you know it, but it's nice to know that there's bounce back from it.
Right.
That it doesn't just go out into the collective and never comes back to you.
It's not.
Sometimes
It.
you
It
have
is a
to ask
boomerang.
for it.
It is a
Sometimes you
boomerang.
have to ask for it.
Right.
People sometimes get so wrapped up in their lives they forget that we need to be reinforced with each other from time to time to remind us that I laughingly say, "Oh, my invisible pill is working today,"
Yeah.
because I feel like it. But
Right. You feel invisible sometimes.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and sometimes you need to just not take that pill and go, "Hello,
I'm
I
here.
I need some positive feedback here.
Right.
How am I? How am I
Right.
from your point of view?"
Right.
And it's okay to ask for that. It doesn't make you a needy at
Yeah.
all.
Or uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Narcissistic.
Yes, yes, it doesn't at all.
No.
So let me follow up with this. And what makes you
Mhm.
sad? What makes you upset?
When I feel like I disappointed the ones that I love, um, I feel it's sad. It makes me sad, but it also makes me feel disappointed in myself if I feel like I have disappointed others or I'm not to the standard that I feel like I should be to them. And it's becoming less and less a reason for me to feel sad just because I'm starting to get to the point where I feel like, or I'm starting to teach myself that the people that love me are going to love me regardless of my shortcomings or my mishaps, my messiness, or that I like to, that I've been labeled sometimes. But I'm still loved regardless. Either if it in my head I feel like I'm disappointing somebody, I very well could not be. It could just be my own insecurities in my head, and so I'm starting to slowly get out of that mentality. So
That's good because you can't own somebody else's.
feelings,
No, you can't. And their disappointment is honestly really theirs.
yeah,
Like no one else can make you angry. You make
right.
yourself.
Excuse
But
me.
it's a hard pill to swallow. Trust me, it's right
Oh,
there with that
it's a
invisibility pill.
it's a horse pill. That is
Yes,
for
it is.
sure. It's a horse pill.
So tell me, what is one skill that you have that maybe people don't know that you do?
Ooh, I think art is probably the one skill that most people don't know that I do, just because I don't share it that often. Because it's my way of escaping my little reality of going to work from my night for my like 8 hour shift and then coming home. I like doing it just to escape. So I kind of tuck that away and leave it for myself. Um, Another one is probably I don't probably art. Yeah, I would have to say art. That's the one thing that I kind of hold near and dear to my heart, and that I kind of if I unless I feel like I not worthy, but I feel like somebody should see it, then I'll show it to somebody. But I kind of keep that to myself.
Okay, so what do you think is the most interesting thing about what you think, not no other people, what you think is the most interesting thing about you?
Ooh, I think just my upbringing and how I've come out of it. Um, Being a Southern conservative Catholic boy coming out late in life, and then now just owning who he is as a young man. I turned 30 next month, and I'm just so excited to see what my 30s are going to bring. And my 20s have been a whirlwind. They've been all sorts of ups, downs, ins, outs, roller coaster of a decade, and I'm going to take what I've learned from my 20s and just make the 30s the best 10 years of my life.
Nice. I was going to mention that to you earlier. I noticed when your birthday are. It makes sense why we get along so well because my
We're
birthday is
Cancers.
next month. Yes, we are.
We're Cancers.
Yes, we are.
The empaths.
The impacts. The spooky people.
uh, the emotional people.
Oh, yes. But we're emotionally stimulating. I like that term
Yes.
better.
Yes, I
Not
do.
draining, we're stimulating.
Right.
Right? If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Teleportation.
And why?
Then I can, it's more now than it has been in the past, but teleportation just because I have so many friends that are like back in Madison that I hold so close to my heart that I miss daily. Like they're my given family, or they're my family that I
Chosen?
chosen family. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Um, and I get messages from them every day, and I miss them every day, and I wish I could just like poof over there and just give them a hug and and just hang out with them for a little bit, and then come back to my life here. I love my life here. I am so happy that I've moved here and happy to start a new chapter. But they've the chosen family back in Madison have been there for a lot of my 20s,
Okay.
my roller coaster of my 20s, and they were the ones that kept me in check when I was at my lowest, and I will always love them for that.
It's wonderful. So, where do you see yourself in the 5 years?
Hopefully, a manager of a hotel, or a food and beverage director of a hotel, or of the hotel that I currently work for, whether it be the general manager of the hotel, or yeah, food and beverage director. Not exactly where I'm at, but I'm pretty damn
Content?
happy about. Yeah, I don't even want to say content, because I think that's settling, like a word of settlement. I'm pretty damn happy where I'm at right now. Um, I can I can there's still more room to be even get happier, like getting a nicer apartment in a nicer neighborhood, even though I really like my neighborhood of where my apartment's at. I have a my second language is Spanish, and I love that I live in like Little Mexico here in Houston. I walk out my door and all I hear is like mariachi and Latino music, and it just brings me back to when I lived in Mexico, and it's just cute little neighborhood, and I'm just very happy where I'm at.
Wonderful.
Very
That's
happy.
awesome. So, if you were to write an autobiography, what
Mhm.
would it be called?
Mm, I don't know. That's hard, because I like, yes, my life's interesting, but I've never thought about like, why would I write it down? Because it's already on the internet already. Because of Facebook and everything, my life is basically on the internet already. Um, that's a difficult question. I honestly could not tell you. I'm not that creative in that sense where it comes to coming up with titles in that with those kind of things. Now, if you'd ask that to Silver or any of my friends, I'm sure they would give you a name here and there, because they know me better than I know myself.
How about I ask him when I sit down with him? I'll say,
That'd be
hey,
great.
okay, and then I'll let you know what he came up with.
Please do. Please
Okay.
do. 'Cause I'm sure it's going to be the either extremely funny or sappy and sentimental, because he
Okay,
can
well,
go
nothing
either
wrong with either one.
way.
So, what advice would you give to someone who is considering a career in porn?
That is something that is the most frequent question I have ever gotten on my Twitter from people. They DM me and they say, "So, how did you get into porn?" Or what do you have in some what advice do you have for somebody who wanting to get into porn? And I tell them to how I got into porn was just straight up hustling. I hustled on Twitter. It's about who you know and how well you present yourself to people in the industry. Um, as long as you are a good person, you don't necessarily have to fit that rock hard, Johnny V, those type of body types just to be into porn. There's a fantasy for everybody, and that's what porn is, and you won't need to fill that fantasy. So hustling and being a good person, putting out content as much as you can. Starting just for fans or is the best way to poke your toe into the big ocean that porn is, and once the ripple starts, it doesn't stop.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
yeah.
What do you want people to remember you by? What is something you want people to think that's Otto?
That I bring, that I'm just a genuinely pleasant, upbeat, effervescent person. I'm pretty social and bouncy, especially when I'm like if I'm on my own type of thing. If I can like go around and just like bop around and meet people. I can be starstruck sometimes, but I like to go around, meet people, and just kind of see what they're doing, have fun, and I'm the type.
Are you like my spirit animal twin or something?
I think so.
I think so too.
I'm like a ginger version of your spirit animal.
Thank you. I like this. I do. That's cute.
I like bopping around and meeting people. I mean, I want people to remember me by as somebody that is genuinely like, I'm not using average in a negative way, but I'm like your average Joe type of person. If I don't have rock hard abs. I don't have a big bare belly either. I'm in that average middle ground, and if I can get 20.7 thousand followers with only 5 scenes out, there's definitely a market for someone like me, and there are definitely more people like me that are out there that watch and would like to do this kind of thing, and they have the fear that they can't because they don't have that body or they don't have that niche look, and they can. I want to be that kind of that beacon light for all us average men.
You are far from average, sweetheart. You have it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
You really do. So if a fan was looking for you, where would they find you? Where would they find you on social media?
So my Twitter handle, I only use Twitter and Just for Fans, to be honest with you, for my porn personality. I have too much crossover with my Facebook and Instagram. I don't want the crossover. But my Twitter is Samson, SAMSON _, 3 X's. And then my Just for Fans is the same. It's Samson _XXX as well. So you can find me at justforfans.com, at Samson _XXX, or twitter.com, Samson _XXX.
And you mentioned that you've done several films.
Mm-hmm.
And where would they find them?
You can find them at the Harry and Raw website, or Bear Films website right now. My Bareback, that whole scene has not come out yet, but it is coming out within the month, so keep an eye out for that. Raw Fuck Club, you can go to rawfuckclub.com and find our Pig Week orgy. And then the Monster Cub, it's going to be the Jingle All the Way scene on monstercub.com.
I could just see you dressed up as an elf.
I
don't know. I can totally visualize that.
I had rosy cheeks and my ginger beard. It was the cutest thing in the entire world.
Do you have stills of that?
I will send you my stills.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it.
I will send you my stills.
Okay, one final question.
Shoot.
If you could tell your fans anything, what would that be?
I want to say thank you for following. Thank you for going on this whirlwind of a journey with the ups and downs of being in the porn industry and being just a human being in general. Thank you. And there is so much more to come this year than you can ever imagine. I am hopefully I'm working on trying to get some scenes here and there, but it's just like I said, a straight up hustle type of mentality. But keep an eye out for the market days coming up this year. Me and Silver are booked at market days. He will be doing a live sex show. I'm sure he'll tell you about his sex show in his interview, but I will be at the Steamworks booth at Market Days playing Twister. So if you are in Chicago, March 9th, 10th, and 11th, or is it, yeah, 9th, 10th, 11th, we will be at the Steamworks booth playing Twister, some naughty Twister,
Nice.
some great prizes to be won there. And then I will be the next weekend, I will be in Madison, Wisconsin for Madison Pride at the Wolf's Block Party.
Very
So
good.
those are the two events that I'm booked for this upcoming summer. And then we'll go into Southern Decadence, obviously.
So, yeah. And hopefully we'll see you at the award shows coming up too. That would be
Yes,
nice.
that would be great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially Vegas.
Yes, I wanted Hustler Ball is definitely on and the Gay VNs are definitely on my bucket list this year.
Going to be there myself. So
Excellent. I will glad to see you.
you too, honey.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to wrap this up and say thank
Okay.
you very
Thank
much
you.
for doing this interview with me. And
This was a pleasure.
it was. Thank you for sitting down with us.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thanks again for joining the show. Remember, smile and laugh every day. Hug someone you love, be it 2 or 4-legged. And remember, you are special. And just be good to each other. Thanks for watching. See you next time.